Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Pesachim. We are up to Perek Hey Mishnah Hey. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'ilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Aranbayev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. The rest of the chapter describes how the Pesach offering was brought. HaPesach Nishchat B'Shalosh Kitot. The Pesach was slaughtered in three groups, meaning all the people coming to bring their Pesach offerings were divided into three groups. Shenemar, because the pasuk says in Sefer Shemot chapter 12 pasuk 6, V'shachatu oto kol kehal adat Israel. The entire assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slaughter the Pesach, kahal ve'edah v'Israel. This pasuk mentions three terms that imply a group. Kahal, assembly, ve'edah, congregation, ve'Israel, and Israel. The sages derive from this that the Pesach should be slaughtered in three groups. Therefore, the Rav says, even if only a small number of people come to bring their offerings, so that it's possible to do all of them at the same time, they are nevertheless divided into three groups. Nichnesa kata rishona nitmalet azara. The first group entered the temple courtyard until the courtyard was filled. Na'alu daltot azara, and then they closed the gates of the courtyard. And the commentators explain they did this to avoid overcrowding, to ensure that there would be three groups. They closed the gates so that people did not try to push their way into the first group and leave no one for the later ones. Tak'u, heriu v'tak'u. During the service, the Kohanim sounded a sequence of Tkiyah, Teruah, Tkiyah on trumpets. We will learn B'ezrat Hashem Bli Neder in Mishnah 7 that the Hallel was read while the Pesach offerings were slaughtered. As the Hallel was read, the Kohanim blew trumpets, as the Rambam writes in the Chut Kurban Pesach, chapter 1, Halakha 12. These sounds are the same as those blown on a shofar during Rosh Hashanah. Now, for ordinary offerings, a single Kohen receives the blood in a vessel and brings it to the altar. For the Pesach offering, the Kohanim used a special procedure, and the Mishnah tells how they prepared for the slaughter. HaKohanim omdim shurot shurot ubidehem b'zichei chesef uvzichei zahav. The Kohanim stood in rows that stretched from the place where the animals were slaughtered until the altar, and in their hands were silver bowls and gold bowls, which they would use to bring the blood of the offerings to the altar. Shura shekulah kesef kesef, v'shura shekulah zahav zahav. One row was all Kohanim with silver bowls, and one row was all Kohanim with gold bowls. Lo ayu me'oravim. They did not mix silver and gold bowls in the same row, because a complete row of one type looks nice. So the Miri writes, by making the rows as pleasing as possible, we show respect for the temple and the offering. Velo ayu le'bizichin shulayim. And the bowls did not have wide bases but pointed bottoms, because if they had wide bases, shema yanichum v'yikrash adam, the Kohanim might put them down on the ground and the blood would congeal and thereby become unfit to throw on the altar. Since the Kohanim were occupied with a large number of offerings at the same time, there was a concern that a Kohen might put down a bowl with blood and forget about it, which would cause the blood to congeal. Therefore, they used bowls with pointed bottoms, which could not be put down. And that is in the Mishnah Hey. Mishnah Vav now continues, Shachat Israel. A Israel, meaning someone who was not a Kohen, would slaughter the Pesach if he wished, because an offering may be slaughtered by anyone. The Kibela Kohen, and the Kohen at the head of one of the rows that stretched to the altar would receive its blood in a bowl. Now, although most avodot, most services in the temple may be done only by a Kohen, offerings may be slaughtered by Israel. However, the blood must be received in a bowl by a Kohen, because all the services of an offering after slaughtering must be done by a Kohen. Notno lechavero v'chavero lechavero. He would give the bowl to his fellow Kohen, meaning the Kohen standing next to him in the row, and his fellow Kohen would pass it to his fellow Kohen, and so on, until it would reach the Kohen at the end of the row, next to the altar. Umkaber et hamaleh umachazir et harekan. Each Kohen would accept a full bowl of blood from the Kohen next to him to one side and return an empty bowl that he would give to the Kohen standing to his other side. And the commentators explain every bowl of blood was passed down a row until it reached the Kohen closest to the altar, who would throw the blood. He would then pass back the empty bowl to the Kohen next to him, who would in turn pass it along the row until it was returned to the Kohen next to the slaughtering area. The Kohanim were therefore involved in two activities, passing full bowls of blood to the altar and passing back empty bowls. Each Kohen must first accept the full bowl that he is handed and only then pass back the empty bowl. This is following the rule of En Ma'avirin ala mitzvot. We do not pass over the opportunity to do mitzvot, which teaches that one must do a mitzvah that is at hand before any other activity. Since accepting the full bowl is a fulfillment of the mitzvah of holacha, bringing the blood to the altar, it must be done before passing back the empty bowl, which is only a preparation for a mitzvah. The reason that so many kohanim were used to pass the blood to the altar was to show added respect for the mitzvah, as Shlomo HaMelech writes, "Berov am hadrat melech." The glory of the king is demonstrated by a multitude performing the mitzvah. The Mishnah continues, Kohen HaKarov etzel HaMizbech zoko zrika achat keneged hayisod. The Kohen who is nearest the altar would then throw the blood once onto the wall of the altar at a spot opposite the base of the altar. Now the base of the altar was a low platform that ran along two sides of the altar and extended only one amah along the other two sides. Whoever can see the diagram brought down in the article elucidated. The Mishnah teaches that the blood of the Pesach offering was thrown on a part of the altar's walls that was above the base, so that the blood would flow down the side of the altar onto the base. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.